And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics, and now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Man, have we got a show for you today. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Now, on today's show, our special segment, what we're going to do with John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and me, we're going to be doing talking politics. We're going to be talking about the Republican debate on the Conservative Syndicate simulcast that we do every Monday and Friday. Today, our good buddy John Hanson is missing. He was celebrating the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. He couldn't get back in time to do the show. So I'm going to fill in, and I'm going to give you some tax tips today, and they'll help you with your taxes, I'm sure. But before that, I want you to know that I want you to stand by for news. And at 3:01 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? I want to talk about the news, and the news that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to encapsulate it so we can give you the 10 top things that are going on, and then I'll go more in depth after that. Here are the 10 things that you need to know for Monday today, your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today and probably tomorrow as well. And first off, you know it, Broncos dominate the Panthers in the Super Bowl win. Denver's defense frustrates Cam Newton all game to carry Peyton Manning to his second Super Bowl title with a 24-10 victory over the Carolina Panthers. You know, it's a nice way for Peyton Manning to go out and retire. Anyway, Rubio's debate, slip-ups embolden the rivals, I should say. The freshman senator's uneven debate performance in New Hampshire invigorates Chris Christie, John Kasich, and Jeb Bush, days before the state's primary, which, by the way, is tomorrow. And who decries North Korea rocket launch as intolerable provocation? Well, the 15-member UN Security Council condemns Kim Jong-un's ballistic missile test and vows significant sanctions. You know, like he cares. How about this? What security video reveals before suspected airliner bombing? Mogadishu airport footage shows two men handing what looks like a laptop to a suspected suicide bomber after he passed through a security checkpoint in Somalia. Government spokesman says. And the fifth item on our news today is more than 100 remain missing after a deadly Taiwan quake. The death toll rises to at least 34 following the powerful earthquake that toppled a high-rise apartment building in Taiwan, government figures show. And Turkey says it hits capacity to take Syrian refugees. But the country's deputy premier says it will continue taking in migrants from the neighboring civil war amid pressure to reopen its border after a 3-day closure. And how heroin scourge changes police roles. As addiction rate climb across the United States, police, paramedics, and counselors join forces to steer drug users into treatment instead of into jail. Makes sense to me. Well, cost of coal ash spill cleanup rises to billions. Duke Energy is shipping 1.5 million tons of residue to landfills 2 years after a massive spill of toxic liquefied power plant waste near Eden, North Carolina. And Directors Guild win for The Revenant muddies Oscars waters. With only weeks to go before the Academy Awards, the race for Best Picture is wide open as ever. And then finally, Super Bowl ads aim for optimism. A car ad shows an aging astronaut getting reinvigorated by driving an Audi, while Amy Schumer and Seth Rogen try to unite Americans with the Bud Light Party. Yeah, Bud Light Party sounds good to me. Well, you know what? Let's take some time and let's get in depth with some of the news. First off, the Clintons, New Hampshire is the state of second chances. You know, it's either Everest, their firewall, their lifeboat in the frozen Atlantic. They are the Clintons. It is New Hampshire, and here we go again, all of us. For nearly 25 years, New Hampshire has been the backdrop for some of the most memorable Clinton comebacks, pleas, denials, hustle, glory, and drama. Now, those ghosts of primaries past are trailing Hillary Clinton as she tries perhaps one last time to pull off another one for the history books. Trailing by double digits according to some polls, the Clinton campaign is finding it can't escape the expectations and the limits of that special bond between the Clintons and voters of New Hampshire on the cusp of tomorrow's primary. It still exists, said Dayton Duncan, a New Hampshire-based historian and Clinton supporter, but time passes. As polling in the final days round a possible tightening in Clinton's contest with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, it was hard to hear the faint echoes of history. Could this be the beginning of a third-storied Clinton comeback in New Hampshire? Could she come close enough to make the claim? Well, time will tell, but we don't have much time. We're going to find out tomorrow. And that is for sure. Well, you know what? There's so much going on in the news today. Why can't this thing go? Here we go. There we are. Now, candidates are sprinting to New Hampshire finish, but brace for a long campaign. You know, eyeing their first wins in a capricious campaign, Republican Donald Trump lashed out at his opponents today, while Democratic Bernie Sanders sought to play it safe on the eve of the nation's initial primary. GOP contenders vying for second and third saw fresh hopes for survival after New Hampshire as both parties settled in for a drawn-out slog to the nomination. As snowfall brought yet more uncertainty to the race's final hours, Hillary Clinton tried to move past talk of a shakeup in her campaign and controversy over comments by supporters that women should feel obliged to vote for her. Barnstorming, New Hampshire, with her husband and daughter, Chelsea Clinton, she worked to flip Sanders' favored critique against her by claiming that he, too, had taken big bucks from Wall Street, if only indirectly. But it was Trump, the billionaire businessman, who launched the hardest attacks, not against Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who had bested him in Iowa, but against Jeb Bush. The former Florida governor is one of three Republicans hoping Marco Rubio's recent stumbles have opened a fresh path for one of them to emerge as the more mainstream alternative to Trump and to Cruz. Jeb is having some kind of a breakdown, I think, Trump told CNN, calling Bush the son and brother of presidents, a spoiled child, and an embarrassment to his family. I think it's a very sad situation that's taking place. Well, time will tell. We'll see what happens. Nobody really knows what's going on here. How about this, though? Saudi offers to send troops to Syria. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463.
Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. No, we're talking news. Before I give you that news, I've got to tell you about my young grandson, Johnny. Johnny actually does gymnastics. Johnny's 7 years old, and he does gymnastics. And the last meet that he went to was about 2 weeks ago, and I went there to watch him, and he walked away with everything. He got first place in all the different events except for one, and he got second place in that. And he also won first place in the all-around. That little kid, I'm telling you what, it's unbelievable. He doesn't know how to say, I give up. He's just never going to do. Congratulations, Johnny. You did a fantastic job. And then you know what? He repeated that just this last Saturday on a separate competition, went all the way to Fallbrook, California, and competed against a whole different group of people, and he did the same thing. Came through in first place and the first place overall, except for one thing, and that's on that pommel horse. He hates that thing. He's just a little guy, so he has a tough time doing the pommel horse, but he came in second on that. You know what, Johnny? You are someone to be proud of. I'm proud of you. Wonderful, wonderful job. Okay, you know what? Saudi offers to send troops to Syria and comes with uncertainty. United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia's offer to send troops to fight Islamic State in Syria is as much about the kingdom's growing determination to flex its military might as it is about answering U.S. calls for more help from its allies in the Middle East. The Saudi deployment runs the potentially explosive risk of confrontation between one of the Arab's world's most powerful militaries and forces keeping Syrian President Bashar Assad in power. That's if the Saudi proposal even gets translated into action. Just putting the offer on the table gives the Saudis an opportunity to show leadership in addressing U.S. concerns that its regional allies aren't doing enough to fight the Islamic State. It also puts pressure on Washington to do more as Defense Secretary Ash Carter and allied defense ministers gather in Brussels this week for talks on confronting the extremists. Brigadier General Ahmad Asiri, the Saudi military spokesman, made clear the kingdom's offer is contingent on the support of the United States-led coalition battling the militant group in Iraq and Syria. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, which also has offered to deploy ground forces, are part of the coalition, but have eased up on their contributions to the air campaign after earlier high-profile sorties over Syria. You know what? I don't get it. These people are not even willing to fight for their own safety. I just don't get it. Well, Chicago teen's death shines light on police code of silence. For more than a year after officers shot and killed a black teen named Luquan McDonald, the Chicago Police Department had video footage that raised serious doubts about whether other officers at the scene tried in their reports to cover up what prosecutors now contend was murder. Not until 15 months later was one of those officers and a detective who concluded the shooting was justified put on desk duty. At least 8 other officers failed to recount the same scene that unfolded on the video. All of them remain on the street, according to the department. The lack of swift action illustrates the difficulty of confronting the code of silence that has long been associated with police in Chicago and elsewhere. The obstacles include disciplinary practices that prevent the police chief himself from firing problem officers and a labor contract that prevents officers from being held accountable if video surfaces that contradicts their testimony. Wow. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Tell me there aren't two different barometers for who does and doesn't break the law, who can and can't get away with it. Well, an Audi tearjerker, Puppy Monkey Baby, among Super Bowl winners. 30-second Super Bowl ads costing up to $5 million. That's for 30 seconds. It's a huge gamble to advertise. As the Denver Broncos defeated the Carolina Panthers, there were winners and losers off the field too. Here are the advertisers who gambled, whose gamble paid off, and those who dropped the ball. Excuse me. Now, missed the game? No problem. Advertisers will be running their Super Bowl spots ad nauseum on TV and online. Ads can also be found on YouTube, CBS Sports, and Twitter. Now, the Audi commander. In Audi's spot, a depressed, aging astronaut is reminded of his joy for life by driving an Audi sports car with his son to David Bowie's Starman. Every guy in the bar had a smile on his face. Raj Najir from Scottsdale, Arizona, who watched the game at a New York City bar. A surprisingly emotional ad from a German car maker. Audi tugs at the human spirit while reinforcing his performance credentials, said John Gerzema, CEO of BAV Consulting, which tracks consumer perception of all brands. Well, Axe, find your magic. Yep. Axe left previously juvenile ads behind with a spot that urges teens to find your magic and celebrate uniqueness and diversity rather than the traditional tropes of masculinity. And Bud Light Party. Capitalizing on election year buzz, Bud Light enlisted Amy Schumer and Seth Rogen to canvass America to promote the Bud Light Party. A cameo by Paul Rudd added to the fun. Gerzema said that the ad was one of the touchdowns of the evening as it reconnected the brand to humor. This ad brought new energy to a brand that had been stagnant in terms of its cultural relevancy. He said, Heinz Wiener Stampede. Well, Budweiser disappointed some viewers by retiring the puppies it featured in ads the past 3 years. Heinz picked up the slack with an ad that showed dachshunds dressed like hot dogs frolicking in the field to the tune of Harry Nilsson's Without You. In Mountain Dew, Puppy Monkey Baby. Love it or hate it, Mountain Dew's bizarre ad was one of the most talked about spots of the evening. It shows a creature that was part puppy, part monkey, and part baby. Yep, that's it. You know what? Let me take you a little bit farther. I've only got about 10 seconds before I can go. Let's talk about losers. Drug companies. 3 pharmaceutical ads struck a jarring note with viewers. One promoted an anti-diarrhea medication, Xifaxan, and showed a small intestines mascot trying to watch a football game. Another sought to raise awareness about uproid-induced constipation. A third tackled toe fungus. You know, wrong place, wrong time, wrong subject. Kelly O'Keefe, a marketing professor at Virginia Commonwealth University, said of the constipation ad. Hinkle, America's #1 rated. First-time advertiser Hinkle had a tuxedoed spokesperson or spokesman telling viewers that Persil Pro Clean detergent beats rivals in a test. A generic feeling ad people have seen many, many times before. In Quicken Loans, what we were thinking. Quicken Loans, another first-time advisor, imagined a world where it's as easy to get a loan on your smartphone as it is to buy music and plane tickets. Wow. What a way to go. Anyway, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to do the IRS loses. The first case up is payment to a departing business owner is tax-free damages, and I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away, folks. Well, don't go.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? a professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. We've got some great cases for you. The first one here is payment to a departing business owner is tax-free damages. Well, let me tell you about it. Charles Wright, a minority owner in a company that he helped found, had a dispute with his fellow owners and left the firm, taking a large negotiated settlement. More than $1.2 million of it was for personal injury that Wright treated as tax-free. The IRS said that this description was a tax ploy that never would have been sustained in a trial and taxed the funds from it. Now here, he did go to court, and this is what the judge said. Wright had suffered real emotional injury caused by his partners. His settlement was negotiated at arm's length, and it included large taxable payments for other items. All this indicates that the allocation to personal injury was made in good faith. So, it's upheld. That's the $1.2 million. The IRS is not going to get taxed. That's a big deal, folks. Big deal. How about this? The IRS loses. Playing slots qualifies as a business. Yeah. Get this one. Linda Myers had a full-time job, but also spent 40 hours a week playing casino slot machines. She lost money and deducted her losses as business expense. But the IRS denied her deduction, saying playing slots is not a business. But this is what the tax court said.
Myers spent full-time hours gambling, had a record of her activity through her casino car, had a system of watching machines to determine which were most likely to pay off, modified the system in light of results, and had hit enough jackpots to show it was possible for her to have a profit. All this indicated that she had a profit motive, so her gambling was a business and her losses were absolutely deductible. That's the way it should be, right? Sure. How about this? You know what? You ever think about how whopping refunds hurt? Well, here's the thing. The IRS has just announced that the average federal tax refund for not last year, but the year before, it tops $2,400. That's up 4% from the previous year. Now, this is good news for Uncle Sam, who effectively had an interest-free loan from taxpayers of $10 billion in refund money. Now, it's bad news for the taxpayers who lost the use of that money. But you know what? For this year, get it right. Review your income tax withholding and estimated tax payments for 2016. Do it right now. Adjust the payments so that you come closer to breaking even when you file your tax return for 2016, which will happen in 2017. So make sure that you do that. Now, you've heard me talking about being a fly on the wall when the IRS does stuff. Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment that we call Inside the IRS. Okay, so these are not tax court cases, but these are precedents that were set down, things that the IRS has done that you can actually, if you know about it, you can protect yourself with this kind of stuff. And this first one is trusts that are created to evade income taxes. Yeah, you've heard about them. Now, the latest scheme, income-producing assets, are transferred to a trust. Now, the beneficiary of the trust then withdraws funds from the trust in the form of a loan. Now, no tax has to be paid on the income earned by the trust or on the funds withdrawn from it. Now, after the IRS identifies the promoter of such trust schemes, it's going to bring action in federal court seeking a permanent injunction against the promoter from selling these trusts to other unsuspecting taxpayers. If the IRS finds the promoter continuing to sell the schemes after the permanent injunction is granted, it'll ask the court to send that promoter to jail for contempt of court. Just know that that's what's going on. Don't just accept things because somebody tells you. How about this one? The IRS whistleblower points a finger at IRS executives. An attorney currently employed by the IRS publicly expressed concerns about the way the Office of Chief Counsel issued rulings related to synthetic fuel cases that favored the well-connected oil and gas industry. Now, he has made new claims about special access. Specifically, he claims that special access is granted to former IRS executives who currently work for large accounting and law firms. Now, from my perspective, relationships created while working at the IRS, especially at the executive level, can't hurt when it comes to representing a client. However, in my experience, the best accommodation that can be expected is that your client's matter is not put on a back burner if the determination or ruling is a time-sensitive issue. That, is just really, really important stuff, and you don't want to make light of it. You don't want to make mistakes, and you know what? You certainly don't want to take frivolous positions. The fines for that are huge when frivolous positions are taken. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to be doing our simulcast with John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and me on the Conservative Syndicate. We had, a dozen or so stations to our broadcast when we do that. Today, we're going to be talking about the Republican Convention. We're going to be talking about the battle that was going on there. On Friday, I had mentioned that I thought that the Democratic Convention was one of the best ones that I've seen yet. Well, that was until Saturday when I saw the Republican Convention. That by far was just really interesting and exciting. So don't go away when we come back. We'll be with John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and me doing our syndicated simulcast. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews.
Here for John. John will be with us in about 45 seconds or so for our simulcast. I want to let you know that at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time, currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 86 on its way to 55 degrees. But you know what? If you're one of our listeners in New York City, it's currently 32 degrees and overcast. And if you're in Chicago, it's 29 degrees and overcast. You know what? I'm looking forward to a fantastic show with John and Joe. They'll be with us, like I say, in about 15 seconds or so, and then we're gonna be talking about the Republican convention. A lot of good stuff there. Joe was surprised that I thought that the Democratic convention, or not convention, but debate, the last one was such a good one, and I really thought it was a good one until I saw the Republican debate this Saturday, and that was just unbelievably interesting and exciting. It shook everybody up, and so. John ought to be calling in here just about any second now. He's actually about 15 seconds overdue, but it depends on when his commercial breaks actually end. But he'll be calling in here for us in just one moment or 1 second, and then we can get this discussion going. We'll see if we all feel the same way about it. Hopefully we do. And he'll be with because, like I say, he's looking over to calling him any second now. The tough part about this is waiting for him to make the connection. Once he makes that connection, it'll be a lot easier. And there he comes now. I think he's trying to come in. There he is. And we're with John Matthews and Joe Hakos in the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, my friend?
I gotta tell you, I owe Joe an apology.
Oh, sure, Bob.
Yeah, Joe, I owe you an apology. I told you that last Democratic debate was one of the best that I had ever seen. I was wrong, because on Saturday, wow, the Republican debate just blew me away.
Well, I'm sorry you almost got sucked out to sea.
Man, what a fantastic, exciting debate.
In what aspect? Well,
you know what? I think that if you weren't on your game, if you weren't on your toes, you had everything to lose, and if you were on your toes, you had everything to win. I think that Rubio kind of stepped in it for a while. I don't know that it's going to hurt him real bad, but he stepped in it for a while, and Christie just kept shoving his face right into it. The same thing was going on between Donald Trump and the audience when he made everybody aware of the fact that he had no supporters in the audience because it was only 4 people that were supporting him financially, and he was doing his own thing. So there was so much going on that I thought was fantastic, and they were really talking about specifics with policies.
Well, I personally, from my perspective, I really, really believe this. I think we'll know for sure after New Hampshire here, probably after South Carolina. But I think Trump is on the verge of a meltdown. He's not just like our current president. He's not a good loser. He doesn't take it lightly, and he takes it personally. It's not like, of course, I don't know how he can run in a presidential election and not take things personally. But the fact of the matter is that he's starting to not. I guess he's kind of getting tired of lashing out at commentators and his opponents, so now he's starting to lash out at the audience.
Well, yeah, but hang on. That's not fair. First of all, I think he did a good job on Saturday, and a lot of the people that I've been listening to say the same thing. And when he was lashing out at the audience, he really wasn't so much lashing out at the audience as he was letting the American people that were watching this debate on television know that the people that were booing him on the audience were supporters of the other candidates that were there, and he had no supporters in the audience because the GOP wouldn't give him any tickets.
You know what's funny about that, Bob? If this would have been 4 years ago, he would have been in the audience.
That's true. But because he'd have been a supporter.
No, he'd have been a contributor.
Yeah. You know what? And that's a mistake I'm making. I keep saying a supporter. I should have been saying contributor.
And not only that, he would have been in the audience at the Bernie Sanders debate also.
Well, of course, because he contributed to both sides. You got to give him this. He's a good businessman. You can't deny that. And a good businessman, covers his bets. He doesn't know what the heck's going to happen, and he wants to make sure that he is getting access to both sides.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can't deny is he still has not been able to answer the question for the 3-letter word of how.
Yeah. He has yet to bring any substance to his answers as to how he plans to do anything that he says he's going to do.
Okay, so can you name one of the candidates that did tell us how?
I don't care about them. I want Trump. He's the front runner. Tell me how. Yeah, tell me how, Donnie. Tell me how. You going to pull something out of your Trumpster dumpster? Tell me how, Donnie.
Yeah. If you're telling me that you're this grandiose deal maker, and then you're going to make deals because you work well with both sides. He said it. He has bought both sides. He said that during the debate.
Yeah. If I were a businessman of his acumen, I'd be doing the same damn thing.
You know what's funny is I was listening to another program today, and they had a guy up in New Hampshire who actually said this. He has not voted in 25 years, 5 presidential election cycles. He has not voted in, and yet Donald Trump has come out of the ceiling or wherever, his birthday cake or something. I don't know, but he's come out, and now he's willing to stick it out there and vote for somebody now because Donald Trump is there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know. This is the first time I've heard that. I didn't know that he had not voted in 25 years.
No, not Donald Trump. This guy's going to vote for Donald Trump. He hasn't voted in 25 years. Yeah. And now, all of a sudden, he's going to vote for Donald Trump.
Well, we covered this. We did a segment on this a couple of weeks ago, that the Reuters had done a poll, and there was a vast number, 1 out of every 10 people that they polled said that they had not voted in an election cycle of 10 years or more, or this was the first election cycle that they were going to vote in, and it was because of Trump. Now, you sit there and you say, the first initial thing you get is, well, that's good.
Yeah.
But then you say, here's the downside. If these people have not voted before, or they have not voted for a number of election cycles, chances are they don't really know what it is candidates are talking about. And they're doing one of two things. They're just saying, they're all a bunch of crooks, they're all a bunch of idiots, whatever, I'm not doing nothing. But that tells me that they're not really listening to the narratives. They're not really paying attention to what the candidates are doing.
Or for the first time, they're hearing a candidate say what they're thinking, and they're going to get behind it. You can say the same thing about Bernie Sanders. Where the heck are all of his supporters coming from?
Yeah, so
they haven't voted. They haven't voted before. It scares the hell out of you that all of a sudden these people decide they want to support
it's a socialist.
Thank you. You know what? I love the idea that you're there, Joe, when I get in trouble.
Yeah, well, and so what we have here is we have on the left the Gruber theorem, which is the stupidity of the American voter. On the right, we have the Coulter theorem, which is let's keep the moderates in power, and someday they'll turn into conservatives. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but it's the ignorance factor. Everybody's being driven by this emotion. We got somebody out there shooting his mouth off, saying things the way that we would say it, and that is a good thing. I've never had any problem with that. Yeah. I'm waiting for Trump to tell me how is he going to pay for the wall. I'm waiting for him to tell me how is he going to overhaul Obamacare. I'm waiting for him to tell me how is he going to make deals with countries that right now want to blow us off the face of the earth.
At least, John, he's the first guy that I've heard that says, I am not going to immediately get rid of Obamacare until I have an adequate replacement. We have to have health care for the citizens of the United States. He made that comment. So he's the only one I've heard. All I hear is we're going to get rid of it. We're going to get rid of it and replace it with what?
That is exactly what a conservative would not do. A conservative would get rid of it, period, and not replace it.
But you know what? A good businessman would never do that. He'd always have some kind of an alternative waiting in the wings that would be a better solution.
You're asking me this question, Bob. Why
he already has it.
Does the government have to have some kind of alternative?
Why don't they?
Hey, check this out. He already said what he's going to do. It's called single payer. Yeah. He already said it.
Isn't that what Obama wanted? Isn't that what Obama wanted 7 years ago? Single payer.
And who's going to pay for it, Donald? The taxpayers, the government.
We are the single payer. Who do you think pays for government?
Yeah. So there's your answer, Bob.
Yeah. What is the government doing in healthcare to begin with?
Well, the one thing Donald Trump said is that he'd like to get, when it comes to insurance competition and free trade, he'd like to get rid of the magic lines that separate one state from another and make all the insurance companies compete in a free market that would lower the costs. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, that was said in 2009 while we were having this whole big damn debate about it. That was said. And what did the Democrats do? No, we can't do that.
Well, yeah. That's why we have Republicans.
And that's who said it was Republicans. And guess what? Barack Obama was so magnanimous, and he reached across the aisle and said, never mind.
Well, you know what? Instead of castigating Barack Obama, isn't the reason that we're thinking about changing the occupier of the White House, one of the biggest reasons is because we're all unhappy with what has happened in the last 8 years? We don't need to castigate him. We all know about it. What we need to know is what the new guy is going to do to make it better.
Yeah, well,
I don't really care about the guy that made it bad. We know how that happened. I want to know how the new guy is going to make it better.
Yeah, we have to go to a break, Bob. But when we come back, I want to address that issue here about conservatism. And what is the difference? Trump is saying let's replace something. I'm saying let's just repeal it and let the free market take it back over. And I'll explain that to you, but we got to go to our break on this side right now. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
All right, we'll be right back with John.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino.
And we're back with John Matthews and Joe Hinkle. Sorry, guy, I was daydreaming, I think, when you guys called in.
Well, we were talking before the break, Bob, about this idea of the concept, or, you're talking about that there needs to be an alternative to Obamacare. If we're going to repeal it, we need to replace it. My position as a conservative is that we need to repeal it and turn it back over to the free market the way that it's supposed to be in order to recover and reestablish itself as what it is, a private enterprise. This is not a public service. This is not an entitlement program. This is not something that people should have a right to. This is something that is run by the free market. Now, I understand the compassionate side of this thing, that people need health care, and some people can't afford it. That does not justify putting the government in charge of it and saying, we'll figure out how to redistribute money.
But that's not what Trump said. You're still talking about the Democratic platform. If we're going to talk about what the Republican debate was, that it wasn't that at all. And if you're going to talk about conservatism, that was not the definition by even the people that disagreed what conservatism was in the debate.
Okay, and the definition that was given by 3 of the candidates as to what conservatism is was so far off the mark. It was ludicrous. The idea when the question was asked, I believe it was asked of John Kasich first, what is conservatism? David Muir asked him basically, you define to me what conservatism, in the same light that Chris Matthews asked Wasserman Schultz, define to me the difference between a Democrat and a socialist. And then so the question was worded, they were looking for the Republicans, somebody to give a definition of what conservatism is. What does John Kasich talk about? The first thing he talks about, he says, I'm going to read you a quote from what he says here, just exactly what he said. We need to help the developmentally disabled to rise, and we need to help our friends in the minority community develop entrepreneurship. In other words, in American, conservatism should mean not only that some rise with conservative principles but everybody has a chance to rise, regardless of who they are, so they can live their God-given purpose. That's what conservatism should be.
And that's precisely what Rubio said. Rubio actually nailed down the definition of conservatism.
Okay? That doesn't define what conservatism is, and that is a very separatist statement to say, for some reason, what he's implying is that only some people can employ conservative principles. He's saying that it's not that some rise with conservative principles, but everybody should have a chance. That conservatism is everybody has the chance.
That's right. That's right.
So what he's saying is that his language, his inference, his reference, and what he's implying.
You're talking about Kasich. You're not talking about Rubio.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to Rubio in a minute. Kasich comes out and basically is reciting the exact same thing Bernie Sanders says about democratic socialism. It's about giving everybody the same thing. It's exactly the same. He just worded it different, but he just said it's conservatism instead of democratic socialism.
Yeah, but you know what the same thing is, don't you? The same thing is opportunity. If you get off your dead lazy ass and you work hard, you have the opportunity to get up into the higher income levels and create jobs for people. That's what
what Kasich is implying here is not everybody can employ conservative principles. And so we have to do something to offset that. That if you read the context, that's the context of the statement. Completely ludicrous and completely moderate. That's something I would expect out of Jeb Bush.
Well, yeah, but here's the problem. The problem is I support your position with Kasich because I don't like him either.
Okay, you keep talking about Rubio. Let's go to Rubio's.
No, I don't like Rubio either, but he did give a good definition of what conservatism was.
I'm sorry?
I say I don't like Rubio either, but he did give a good definition of what conservatism is.
No, and surprisingly, Trump came the closest until he turned it into a talking point. He actually came out, I'm looking at the root word, which is conserve. Yeah. Okay, very close to what conservatism is. I'm going to give you the definition here in a minute. That's why I'm ranting here. And
are you ranting, John?
Rubio comes out, starts defining what conservatism looks like, but he doesn't define what it is, and that's the problem here. We're trying to give examples of what conservatism looks like without defining what it entails and what it takes. He talks, it's free enterprise. It's an economic model that allows everyone to rise without pulling anybody down. Okay, those are all great analogies, but they do not define what conservatism is. It's about national defense. Okay, that's an aspect of what conservative ideology looks like, but it isn't a definition of what conservatism is. And until people can understand what it is, the analogies and the examples don't make sense to the average person because we have been conditioned over the last 6 decades that the government is supposed to fix everything. And that's not what the government is supposed to do. The government's job is to protect our borders and protect our civil rights, not to come into our lives and figure out how to take care of everything that we can't or don't want to take care of. That's not what it is. I'm going to give you a definition of conservatism here.
Good, because what you're just saying has nothing to do with what the definition of conservatism is.
I'm not saying it has nothing to do with it. I'm saying in the context of the question, tell me what conservatism is. There was not an accurate answer from any of them. They tried to use it as to employ their own talking points as to what they think policy should be. Okay, that the conservatism is a lack of policy, literally, meaning the government should have nothing to do with these very things outside of national security. They should have nothing to do with all the talking points and all the lists of things that these people all lined up and said, this is what it's about. It's about preserving our economy. It's not the government's place to preserve our economy. It's the free market's place to do that. It's not the government's place to provide health care. It's the free market. It's the private sector. And that's what we've been conditioned to believe, that the government is the answer. And it's not the answer. It was never established that way. It was never put together that way. And we've allowed it to be taken to places it was never intended to go. And so now what we do is we have not arguments about what conservatism versus liberalism is. We have arguments about who's going to run the show.
But John, here's the thing, and let's use insurance companies as an example, because you're absolutely right. The government's job is to protect us and protect our rights as citizens. It is not anybody. But the other thing they need to do is to protect the whole premise of free trade in fair trade. And when you let states say to an insurance company, you cannot come into this state and sell insurance or even propose insurance, that's wrong. Because me as an accountant, I can practice accounting in any state in the United States. I can go anywhere and do it. Doctors can practice medicine in any state in the United States. They can do it. If you want to make cars, you can make them in any state in the United States. You can do it. But the insurance companies are trying to put a monopoly on and say, okay, you can't sell insurance in California because there's too many people and we want to keep those profits here. If you want to have free trade and fair trade, businesses should be able to do business all over our country.
Okay, and I don't disagree with that, Bob. I absolutely agree with you 100%. The answer to reforming the healthcare system is to allow interstate commerce.
Yes.
But the federal government has taken that and they have interpreted it to mean we regulate it. Okay, there's a difference between saying this state cannot forbid this state from doing something, but even in the purest sense of conservatism, federalism trumps everything. So if a state does not want to allow a certain entity to come in and practice in their state or to do business, that state has the right to do that as long as the residents of that state condone it. But when you have legislators that just say this is what we're going to do,
but John, every state has a law in the books against the restraint of trade. And when you're talking about this specific subject, insurance, they shouldn't be allowed to have restraint of trade.
Oh, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. I totally agree with you there. And that to me is the solution. But that isn't something that Donald Trump offered. That's Ted Cruz's position. Interstate commerce should be allowed.
Yes.
And I've only got a couple of minutes here left with you, Bob. So
I'll stay with you for another hour if you want.
Let me give you my definition here. I've taken the rant away from Joe, but
we'll give him a chance on Friday.
Yeah. So here it is. The literal definition of conservatism, literally speaking, is maintenance or maintaining the status quo. Now, what that means is conservatism is any political philosophy that favors tradition in the sense of various religious, cultural, or nationally defined beliefs and customs in the face of external forces for change, and it is critical of proposals for radical social change. Conservatism is don't fix what ain't broken. That's what conservatism represents. It's not a clear-cut philosophy, but it is a set of beliefs. And those beliefs mean that free enterprise over everything, continuation of the traditions that made us great, minimal government intervention in the economy, and strict law and order enforcement. Those are the elements and the aspects that make up conservatism. But conservatism as an ideology stands and opposes radical change to the structure that has made the country what it is. That's what somebody should be saying out there. We're not saying that everything is perfect, but that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, it's like if there is an issue, the free market. If we say if the government was going to step in and do what they're actually supposed to do, they would come to the states because they do have in the Constitution the right to deal with interstate commerce, and so they can say, as the federal government, what we're going to say is the states are overstepping their limitations by limiting interstate commerce, not come in and say, well, since you guys aren't doing it right, we'll take it over and do it. That's the difference. When I'm president, this will all stop in 24 hours.
Hey guys, great show! This has been a great show. I'm looking forward.
I appreciate you listening to my rant.
Well, no. You know what? I love it. I love it when it gets a little heated like that. All
right. Okay. Well, just tell your listeners visit our site sometime, theconservativesyndicate.net, And we'll let you get back to your show. We got to get back to ours.
All right, guys, have a good one. We'll talk to you on Friday. Now, we'll be right back after these brief messages, and I'm going to give you some tax tips, guys. So stick around. You're going to want to hear them. The first one up is going to be, did you know that you can now apply online for a payment agreement with the IRS if you owe money? I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Boy, if you missed the last block with John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and the Conservative Syndicate as we did our simulcast, boy, did you miss something. You know what? Go to the conservativesyndicate.net. You can listen to an archive of it, or you can, right after today's show, we'll have an archive of the same one here on our show. We do this syndicate every Monday and Friday. We pick up an extra dozen stations or so worldwide, and John is a phenomenal knowledge when it comes to the GOP. He and I disagree a lot, and it gets a little heated sometimes, but that's what makes it interesting, and I hope that you enjoy it too. Now, I want you to know that at 4:04 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. You know what? And if you're one of our listeners in Paris, France, it's 45 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 54 degrees with some light rain. So, hopefully you're enjoying all of that. But you know what? Right now, what I want to do is I want to give you some tax tips and some tax news and things like that to see if we can't help you do some planning First off, did you know that now you can apply online for a payment agreement to deal with overdue federal income tax? There are 3 options to consider or to choose from after receiving a balance due notice from the IRS. First of all, payment in full within 10 days with no interest, penalties, or fees. Just know that you can do that. Most people, when they get that bill, they can't. Or payment in full within 120 days. You do pay interest and penalties, but no IRS fee for that. And then you can do a monthly payment plan that's interest, penalties, and a $43 IRS fee, which is added to the amount that's owed. Now, to apply, all you got to do is go to the www.irs.gov and use the pull-down menu under I need to select set up a payment plan. When you do that, you can actually set up this payment plan right online. You don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to do all of those things. And you can set this thing up and most of the time get it approved right there online, not have to talk to an individual or get a pro to do it or anything else. It's a nice, easy, convenient way to do it, especially if it's just a short-time fix that you need. There are a lot of other things that you can do, and if you get caught between a rock and a hard place and that's not your real answer, do what I always suggest on the show. Contact a licensed professional. You know, I say it all the time. They're going to save you more money than they cost you, and they're going to give you peace of mind and let you sleep at night because they, as one of the conditions of their licensing, have to have errors and omissions insurance. That's the same thing as malpractice insurance. That means that if they give you the wrong advice, they have to pay the piper, not you. So keep that in mind. When you're doing these things. Well, right now, I'd kind of like to talk to you about how to make this year's deductions as big as they can be. So let's talk about that a little bit. Did you know that last month we looked at how to cut your adjusted gross income, the AGI, to increase overall deductions, and I did that in a long run in here. Now, here today, we're going to look at how to take advantage of your most important deductions and how the steps to take right now that you can do to take care of that stuff. First of all, let's talk about investment deductions. You know, to obtain tax savings investment deductions, first of all, make bond swaps. If you own individual bonds that have declined in value, sell them for a tax loss and buy replacement bonds. Now, to avoid the wash sale rule that would disallow a loss, the replacement bonds can be similar to, but must not be identical to, the ones that you sold. So let me give you an example of that. Bonds of a different issuer in the same industry with the same interest rate and credit rating. The result? You get a tax-reducing capital loss without changing your investment position. That makes a lot of sense, right? Well, how about this? Utilize stock and mutual fund losses. Make year-end purchases or sales of shares so capital losses and gains offset each other. If so far this year you've realized, let's say, net capital losses, then gains realized in an equal amount by year-end are going to be tax-free. And net capital gains, then you can make them tax-free by realizing offsetting losses. So the goal? A net capital loss of up to $3,000 can be deducted against ordinary income, such as salary. So the ideal is to end with a net loss in that amount. Excess losses can be carried forward to future years. But remember, when we're talking about here, you deduct your gains against your losses dollar for dollar. And if your losses exceed your gains by $3,000 or more, $3,000 can offset your income from tax. That's the maximum on it. And then that amount that exceeds the $3,000 goes into future years. This is a good way to really maximize your savings. How about this? Interest expense deductions. You ever think about it? Sure. Well, you should be anyway. You know, investment interest expense, such as on margin accounts, is deductible, but only to the extent that one has taxable investment income, not counting tax-favored capital gains. Now, excess interest expense over that amount can be carried forward to be deducted in future years. So here's a tactic for you. To get a deduction for the excess interest expense now, rather than carrying it forward, you can elect to treat an amount of tax-favored capital gains and dividends as income taxed at ordinary rates. Then deduct the excess investment interest against that. This makes sense if you don't expect to be able to deduct carryover interest next year either, or expect to be in a lower tax bracket in the future, making a carryover deduction a lot less valuable. But how about this? How about state tax deductions? You ever think about it? Or you just think about the federal side? Avoid common errors that reduce your deductions. Let's talk about sales tax. A recent Treasury study found that one in every seven taxpayers who could have benefited from claiming the deduction for state sales tax on the federal return failed to do so. So that millions of dollars of the deductions in the total were forfeited. Now, you need to remember that you could have deducted state sales tax instead of state income tax on your federal return if it provided a greater benefit. You had a choice. The option to deduct state sales tax instead of state income tax expired at the end of 2005, by the way, and at press time when we were getting ready for this thing, it hadn't been extended, but now it has. Congress has enacted an extension of this provision, which you can get. So just know you've got a choice between deducting state sales tax and state income tax. I mean, if you had a lot of big purchases, you bought a car, you bought a boat, you bought a big entertainment system, anything that had sales tax on it, and it was big, that might exceed the income tax that you paid. In that case, deduct the income tax instead of the sales tax. Doesn't that just make sense? Sure it does. How about this? Income and property taxes. You ever think about them? The amount of state tax deductible on a federal return is not the amount of state tax shown as paid on the state return, but rather the amount of state tax actually paid within the calendar year. Because it could have been different. You could have had, estimated taxes and stuff like that, right? Sure. So what do? Examine your checkbook register to make sure that you don't miss any state tax payments that you made last year. Maximize your deduction for last year by making state tax payments by December the 31st. Well, we're already past that, right? Even if you can legally defer paying them until next year. So here's the thing. Provided that you are not subject to AMT, you want to be careful with that because that can mess up all these plans. Now, and you know what? And AMT is a very technical thing, and if you want some kind of a definition on that, the alternative minimum tax, you really need to sit down with a professional and have him work these things out both ways to make sure that you're not making a mistake. Let's talk about charity deductions. The new law changed the rules for some deductions this year and may make it smart for you to move some planned charitable donations forward a couple of years or a year. Now, to get charity deductions, you must make donations by year-end and obtain necessary documentation to support them. Now, an acknowledgement letter from the charitable recipient for all gifts larger than $250 and a canceled check is just not going to be enough. An appraisal of any donated property that's valued over $5,000. You got to get that. And for details about appraisal and documentation requirements, go to IRS Publication 526. Charitable contributions. Now, here's a tactic for you. Donate appreciated long-term capital gain securities instead of cash. You'll get a deduction for their full value while avoiding ever paying tax on the gain. That's a smart thing to do, thinking about it. Now, a new law to beware of this year. Donations of household items such as clothes, furnishing, electronics, appliances, and linens after last year are not deductible unless they are in good used condition or better. The IRS hasn't yet defined good used condition, but expect its definition to disallow deductions for many items that were previously deductible. The exception here? A deduction of more than $500 claimed for a single clothing or household item is allowed regardless of condition if accompanied by a qualified appraisal. If you have donated household items after year end, be prepared to prove that the items meet the condition test or the exception. You know what? If you're giving away junk, the best advice I can give you is junk. don't even try to deduct it. But the good thing is get an appraisal, get a receipt, get a picture of the stuff you've got, be able to prove that it's in good working condition. Used is okay, but good working condition. Now, also cash contributions such as to church, collections of Christmas kettles, the bell ringers, totaling less than $250 will no longer be provable by a diary or a log that records their details. All contributions will have to be supported by a canceled check or other bank record or a written receipt from the recipient. Consider making these cash gifts planned for January. Do it in December. Again, the time is gone. But you've got this year you can plan for it, and you need to know the differences. It's really there. How about employee business expenses? You give that much thought? Now, this generally is not an advantageous deduction to seek. First, to claim it, you must file an itemized return on Form 1040, the long form, and most people don't do this. Only about 25% or so of the people actually itemize their deductions. Then, it's allowed among miscellaneous deductions only to the extent that the total exceeds 2% of your adjusted gross income. So the better bet here? Get expense reimbursements from your employer before year-end using record keeping that meets IRS accountable plan rules. Both you and your employer can come out ahead by converting salary to expense reimbursements. How? To take the extent that salary is converted to reimbursement, both employer and employee reduce their payroll taxes. The employee's AGI is also reduced, increasing other deductions with the AGI-related limits. The employer can fully deduct expenses without limits that apply to the employee. So give that some thought. That's a smart thing, guys. Don't let it get past you. And then there's the AMT caution. That's the alternative minimum tax. If you are subject to the alternative minimum tax, it may adversely affect the result of strategies mentioned that I've given you today, especially regarding the state taxes. Now, investment interest and miscellaneous deductions also. Project potential AMT liability and consult an expert before acting. That expert is the guy that's going to be able to tell you where you come out ahead. Don't pass that up. You know what? Not only do you not want to make a mistake here, you want to make sure that you're not the one that's being held liable for it. Don't you? Absolutely. You want to be safe. Now, when we come back, I'm going to talk about a new tax break, make an IRA gift to charity, and then after that, we're going to talk about not missing some surprising medical expense deductions. So, if you don't want to, I'll tell you what. I've got a little bit of time. Let me do the gifts to charity first before we take a commercial break. A new law now allows people over the age of 70 and a half to transfer up to $100,000 from an IRA to a public charity without paying any tax on the withdrawal from the IRA. Now, this tax-free treatment is better than taking a conventional deduction for funds donated to a charity after taking the funds from an IRA in a taxable withdrawal. Why? The charity deduction is limited to 50% of adjusted gross income, or AGI, so many people would not be able to fully deduct such a large conventional gift to charity. The excess charity deduction can be carried forward for up to 5 years. Now, an IRA distribution is included in the AGI, so it may reduce or eliminate many other deductions and tax savings devices that have AGI-related limits. Now, also go to how to cut your AGI to boost deductions. Listen to my show. I had it on here about a month or so ago. And estate planning benefit. If you donate cash or appreciated securities to a charity and leave an IRA to heirs, the heirs are going to pay income tax at high ordinary rates on IRA distributions. But if you give IRA funds to a charity and cash or appreciated securities to heirs, you'll get the same charity deduction, but the heirs will owe no income tax on the bequest that they receive. Why? Because inherited appreciated securities receive step-up basis that eliminates the capital gain. So, using this break as part of an estate plan can reduce the family's future tax bill, removing the IRS from effectively being one of your beneficiaries. Now, timing? These tax-free transfers of up to $100,000 annually are permitted only this year. So if you don't make one by year end, the maximum amount that you're going to be able to transfer is going to be reduced by half to $100,000 from the original $200,000. So keep that in mind. Now, do not go away. When we come back, I'm gonna talk to you about some surprising medical expense deductions. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back at today's brief message.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:24 p.m. Pacific Time. Currently 84 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? If you're listening to our show in London, England, it's currently 45 degrees and clear. And if you're one of our listeners in Vienna, Austria, it's 48 degrees and clear. You know what? Nothing like Southern California. Can you believe it? 85 or so. Actually, in the Southland, there was some places hit 86 degrees is a high here today. And, boy, that's magnificent. I went for a nice long walk today and loved every single part of it. So, you know what? It's just nice. Although I'm not done with the rain. I want some more rain. and certainly we're going to have, they talk about April showers and that kind of stuff. So, but I'm looking forward to a wonderful evening. Don't forget, by the way, I'll try to remind you later on in the week too. Valentine's Day is this Sunday. You don't want to mess up with that, guys. You don't want to miss it. You certainly will be sorry if you do. All right. Now, let's talk about some surprising medical expense deductions. You're going to find these things interesting. Hopefully you will. The IRS and courts have approved many surprising and unusual deductions for medical expenses. Now, keep these possible opportunities in mind when planning your tax strategies or preparing your tax return. And this could be stuff that, you didn't even know you did. So here's the thing. Here's topping the hurdle. Medical expenses for items and services prescribed by a doctor for a specific condition are deductible, but only to the extent their total exceeds 10% of your adjusted gross income, or AGI, and the 10% of the AGI if you were subject to the alternative minimum tax as well. It's the same. Now, to get over this hurdle, you can deduct big-ticket items such as home improvements. Think about it. If you improve your home to mitigate a diagnosed medical ailment, the cost is deductible to the extent that it exceeds any resulting increase in the value of your home. Now, let me give you an example of that. Let's talk about central air conditioning to alleviate a respiratory condition. If you spend $12,000 putting it in, but it increases the value of your home by only $8,000, then you've got a legitimate $4,000 medical deduction. Now, to determine how much an improvement increases the value of your home, see a real estate appraiser. Here's some other examples. How about a lap swimming pool? When swimming was prescribed by a doctor as treatment for a condition, and the individual was allergic to chemicals in the water of the public pool, and no other public pool was available? How about this? An attached garage when a doctor advised the homeowner to avoid cold winter air. Yeah, it happens. And an elevator for a person with a heart condition or arthritis. Improvements to accommodate a disability are fully deductible without regard to any increase in value included. Here's the thing. Modification or lowering of kitchen cabinets and counters. Doesn't make any difference. How about certain bathroom modifications, including railings and support bars, or rampways into a home? Widening of doorways and homes, because of wheelchairs and stuff. Or grading the ground around the home to ease access to it. That's handicapped access. Medically related improvements to a property that you rent are fully deductible if you are not compensated for their cost by your landlord. And how about let me give you an example of that. On your doctor's advice, you install a bathroom on the ground floor of your house that you rent to avoid having to climb stairs. Your landlord permits you to do so, but does not pay any of the cost. You can deduct as a medical expense the full cost that you pay. Operating costs, including electricity, maintenance, and repair of air conditioners, elevators, and chair lifts, and other improvements that qualify for medical deduction also are 100% deductible. Think about it. How about this? Expenses paid for others. Yeah, not just yourself. You can deduct medical costs that you pay for persons who qualify as your dependents. For tax years after December 31st, the definition of a medical dependent was changed. It now includes married individuals, even with their own dependents. There is no test for gross income. So, you want to take a look at these things. Here's some examples. A retired parent who doesn't live with you when you pay more than half the parent's support, such as with the parent when they're in a nursing home. Or a person for whom you obtain a dependency exemption by filing Form 2120. That's multiple support agreement. This enables a group of individuals who jointly support a person to claim a dependency exemption and assign it to one among the group, even when one member of the group pays more than half of that recipient's support. And a child after divorce, even when the dependency exemption for the child is claimed by your former spouse, here's the rule. When either divorced spouse claims a dependency exemption for a child, each spouse can deduct medical expenses that each spouse actually pays for that child. But remember, you have that 10%, you got to get over that 10%. Now, take note of this. Gifts of medical payments on behalf of anyone in any amount paid directly to a healthcare provider are not subject to gift tax. And that's an important thing to know. And how about travel? If you or a dependent must travel for medical reasons, the cost of travel and lodging is deductible as a medical expense. The cost of meals generally is not deductible. Here's an example for you. A person who's advised by a doctor to move to a different part of the country with an environment better for the person's medical condition found that he could claim a medical deduction for some moving costs. If you think that you have a similar situation, check with your accountant, your tax professional. That's going to save you a lot of money, guys. How about this? Parents who sent a child to boarding school in Arizona to alleviate the child's respiratory ailment were allowed by the tax court to deduct the child's travel and room and board costs. Now, there's something. Room and board. How about the cost of attending a conference that presents information about a chronic disease affecting the taxpayer or a dependent? They're deductible. When one stays at a hospital or other medical facility, meal charges imposed by the facility may be deducted. Yeah. Or in deducting medically related travel costs, airfares and other travel fares, including taxis, are deductible at their full cost. Think about that. Their full cost. That's a big deal. The actual recorded out-of-pocket expense, if it's higher than the mileage rate, with parking and tolls, also deductible. How about something frequently overlooked? Don't miss deductions for the cost of equipment used to alleviate a medical condition, such as portable air conditioners, humidifiers, and dehumidifiers in their operating costs. How about weight loss programs when prescribed as treatment for a specific medical condition, such as high blood pressure? Or smoking cessation programs? Or cosmetic surgery when utilized to alleviate a medical condition rather than merely improve one's appearance. You know, you got a crooked nose and your nose is all stuffy. So you go in and you get plastic surgery to straighten that nose out. You look better, but now you can breathe. So if you do it for the breathing, you get the deduct. Here's another example. Hair transplant surgery to improve one's appearance is not deductible, but surgery to remove skin folds that remain after a formerly obese person lost a large amount of weight is deductible as part of a treatment for obesity. How about a wig purchased on the advice of a physician for the mental health of a patient who lost hair due to a disease, or even cancer treatment for that matter? Or clarinet lessons when prescribed to alleviate a child's overbite. Lamaze and other childbirth preparation classes. A child's special education costs when a doctor recommends that you pay extra for a teacher who is specifically qualified to work with children who have learning disabilities caused by mental or physical impairment. If the child is advised to board at a school providing special education, medical expenses may include the cost of tuition and room and board. Or psychoanalysis, psychologist fees, and psychiatric care costs. Trained animals used to alleviate disabilities. Example, cats trained to react to sound for the deaf. Seeing eye dogs for the blind. How about special controls for automobiles, such as hand controls instead of foot pedals? Do you ever give that some thought? Sure. Or meals when special foods are prescribed by a doctor to the extent that their cost is greater than the regular foods would be. Eyesight correction, including contact lenses and related solution and cleaners, eyeglasses, and laser surgery for sight correction. Dental treatments, including x-rays, fillings, braces, extractions, and dentures, but not teeth whitening. Keep that in mind. Now, blood sugar test kits and other diagnostic devices for specific maladies, hearing aids and special audio equipment attached to televisions, phones, and other items to compensate for hearing impairment. Insurance premiums used to cover medical care costs, including Medicare drug coverage. Included? Insurance on contact lenses, other insurance that pays for prescription drugs. Medicare Part B, This is a supplemental medical insurance. Premiums for it are a deductible medical expense. Laboratory fees incurred in receiving medical care for a diagnosis or acupuncture. You know what? If you need more information on this, go to IRS publication 502. That's medical and dental expenses available, and it's available free at the IRS website at www.irs.gov. You know what? There are so many things that you can do that are so wonderful for you that you just don't want to miss out on them. Now, on Wednesday, I'm going to have some more tax tips for you, but I'm going to do a special on special tax breaks for members of the military. You know what? They need to know what things that they can do and what things they can't do that are going to be deductible for them. I think that's really important, don't you? Yeah, I do too. I really do. And you know what? Why wouldn't we do those kinds of things? I don't know why we wouldn't, right? No. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I am going to do the birthdays and the... I'm going to do the birthdays. Matter of fact, I'm not only going to do the birthdays, I'm going to do the... what the heck here? What's going on? There we go. I'm going to do the birthdays, the secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. Now, you don't want to miss them. We've got some really good ones going on here, and we'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:39 p.m. Pacific time. It's 84 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, If you're one of our listeners in Madrid, Spain, it's currently 50 degrees and overcast. And if you're listening to us in Tokyo, Japan, it's 39 degrees and partly cloudy. And you know what? Let's give you one more. If you're in Sydney, Australia, it's 75 degrees and scattered clouds, but it's tomorrow already at 11:39 a.m. Now, with that, I want to talk to you about the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is build the confidence to ask for a raise. Yep, that's a scary thing to do, isn't it? Sure. You know, asking for a raise is especially challenging if the voice inside your head wonders whether you really deserve it. If you're facing this situation, it's important first to understand and acknowledge your self-worth, and then learn how to sell it within your company. Start by researching salaries online to get a sense of what competitors are offering for your position. Establish a lower and upper pay scale. Then do a personal assessment. Look for documented instances where you've exceeded goals. Include detailed performance statistics and initiatives that you've undertaken. And key areas where you've demonstrated your loyalty and commitment. And finally, prepare for pushback. Practicing with a coach or trusted colleague can help ensure you respond to objections without getting overheated and end the conversation on a positive note. It's not an easy thing to ask for more compensation. It never has been, never will be. Or if it is easy, it's because you just don't care about the people you're working with or working for or yourself. So, you know what? Give it some serious thought and give it some practice and know what you're going to do in advance. That's really what you have to accomplish. No question about that. Okay? Now, let's talk about the secret teaching for your life. This is all about a positive mental attitude. You've heard me say it many, many times. Today's no different. You really control your success, your failures. You're rich, you're poor, you're happy, you're sad. And even the attitude of people around you. You control that with your attitude. So here's the teaching for today. There is no time for the universe, and there is no size for the universe. It is as easy to manifest $1 as it is to manifest $1 million. It is the same process, and the only reason why one may come faster and the other may take longer is that you thought that $1 million was a lot of money and that $1 was not very much. The truth is, it's just a segment of zeros behind that. They're all the same. No more difficult to make $1 million than it is $2, although I've heard the saying that the second million's a lot easier to make than the first million. I suppose so, because you've proven it to yourself at that point, right? Sure you have. Now, let's talk about what today is, and you know what today is, don't you? Sure you do. It's somebody's birthday. And we've got some good birthdays for today. Let's start off with this guy that was born in 1931. He died at a young age of 1955. An actor, his status as a cultural icon is best embodied in the title of his most celebrated film, Rebel Without a Cause, in which he starred as a troubled L.A. teenager. Happy birthday, James Dean. And here's a man that we all know, or most of us know. He was born in 1940, broadcast journalist, best known as the anchor for Nighttime. Happy birthday, Ted Koppel. And then finally, born in 1974, an actor, comedian, voice actor, and Emmy Award-nominated television producer. Happy birthday, Seth Green. Well, what happened today in history? Can you guess? Well, on February the 8th, 1692, a doctor in Salem Village, Massachusetts Bay Colony suggests that 2 girls in the family of a village minister may be suffering from bewitchment, leading to the Salem witch trial. That was the beginning. Then, in 1915, D.W. Griffith's controversial film, The Birth of a Nation, premieres in Los Angeles, California. And finally, February the 8th, 1952, Elizabeth II is proclaimed Queen of the United Kingdom and remains there today. Well, our quote for today comes from Ernest Hemingway. He says, when people talk, listen completely. Most people never listen. Boy, isn't that the truth? That's the absolute truth, as a matter of fact. All right. Now, it's time for those interesting but useless facts. We've got a number of them. We've got some time to do them, so that's a good thing. How about this? Did you know that seedless oranges were not grown in the United States until 1871? The very first ones came from Brazil and were planted in California. There's something for you. How about this? You know, halfway, Oregon temporarily changed its name to half.com as a publicity stunt for the website of the same name. Huh. Go figure. You know, I'm not sure I even understand what that means. Did you know that according to Hammurabi's code, the penalty for medical malpractice was to cut off the doctor's hands? I'm not so sure I disagree with that. How about this? Excuse me. Did you know that chocolate is the number one food craved by women? There you go. There you go. Here's one for you. Charlie Chaplin was so popular during the 1920s and 1930s, he received over 73,000 letters in just 2 days during a visit to London. Wow. Can you imagine? Here's one. Did you know that Joseph Priestley, the English chemist, invented carbonated water? It was a byproduct of his investigations into the chemistry of air. Wow. You know, it's all by mistake, right? Some of the most valuable discoveries we've ever had, we've gotten by mistake. Seems that way anyway. Did you know a blue whale can go up to 6 months without eating? They must have quite a storage system, I'm guessing. Here's one for you. Joseph Niepce developed the world's first photographic image in 1827. Now, Thomas Edison and W.K.L. Dixon introduced the film camera in 1894. But the first projection of an image on a screen was made by a German priest. In 1646, Athanasius Kircher used the candle or oil lamp to project hand-painted images onto a white screen. That's kind of interesting. Think about it. You give everybody else credit, right? Sure you do. Did you know that 82% believe in an afterlife? 82% of the world believes in an afterlife. Well, did you know that according to the Guinness Book of World Records, the single-seeded fruit of the giant fan palm, or Lodosia maldivica, can weigh 44 pounds, commonly known as the double coconut or coco de mer. It is found wild only in the Seychelles in the Indian Ocean. I think I'll pass on that. You know, that's an easy pass for me. How about this? The skin on your lips is 200 times more sensitive than your fingertips. Wow. Makes you want to go out and kiss someone, doesn't it? Yeah. How about this? She passed away from cancer October the 6th, 1989. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Could that be Jacqueline Onassis? You know, the first postage stamp to commemorate Christmas was issued in Austria in 1937. Some of these things are a lot more recent than you thought, huh? Sure. How about this? A snail can travel over a razor blade without cutting itself. There's a scary thought. I mean, if you ever had one. And playing cards in India are round. Yeah, not rectangular. So let me leave you with this. Approximately 40,000 tons of meteoric dust hits the Earth each year. Now, that's something to think about. Also, do not go away. When we come back from these brief messages, I'm going to answer your emails. The first one I've got comes from Elsie Romero from Auburn, Washington. She's asking about tax-free home gain, and I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:53 p.m. Pacific Time. Currently 84 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire and sunny Southern California. Well, if you're one of our listeners in Auckland, New Zealand, it's 75 degrees and mostly cloudy at 1:53 p.m. tomorrow. And if you're one of our listeners in Hong Kong, China, it's 52 degrees and misty, and it's 8:53 a.m. tomorrow. And then finally, if you're one of my listeners in Lisbon, Portugal, it's 57 degrees and mostly cloudy, and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning there. So, you know what? If they're listening, it's because they got one of those kind of jobs. But right now, let's talk about our emails. I want to remind you that this is an entertainment section of this show. We always encourage you to talk to a licensed professional before you do anything. They're going to save you more money than they cost you. They're going to give you peace of mind, and they have to have errors and omissions insurance. Same thing as malpractice insurance. But it does mean if they make a mistake, they pay the piper. So you don't have to worry about registered mail or telephone calls or somebody knocking on your door. You're home free if you use that licensed professional. Now, our first email comes from L.C. Romero from Auburn, Washington, asking about tax-free home gain, and writes, My fiancé and I own highly appreciated homes. Can we sell one for $500,000 of tax-free gain immediately after we marry? Then, after 2 years, do the same with the other to take a $1 million of tax-free gain in 2 years. Well, Elsie, a single person can sell a home for tax-free gain of up to $250,000 if he or she owned the home and used it as a primary residence for 2 of the prior 5 years. Now, for a married couple, tax-free gain is up to $500,000, and only one spouse must meet the 2 of 5 year ownership test, but both must meet the 2 of 5 year residency test. Now, to sell a home immediately after marrying for $500,000 of tax-free gain, you and your spouse must have lived in it for 2 years before you married. Otherwise, you'll have to wait 2 years after you marry to make the first sale. You would then have to live in the second home 2 years before you can sell that one. So that kind of tells you what's going on, right? Yeah. All right. Next email comes from Amber Ruiz from Brookings, South Dakota, asking about business banking, and says, I have a small sideline business and have run its funds through my personal bank account. Now, since opening a separate account for it, just really never seemed to make any sense or be worth the trouble, you know? I've been told that this is asking for trouble with the IRS. Have I broken the tax law? Well, Amber, no, you haven't. There's no strict legal requirement that a business proprietor have a separate bank account for a business, but it is highly recommended that business funds be segregated in a separate bank account. And there's 2 reasons for that. First, it makes business record keeping much easier, especially for an IRS audit. And if the IRS questions whether the sideline is a real business or merely a personal hobby or avocation that's not entitled to business deductions, a separate bank account for it as part of a business-like set of records is evidence that supports business status. So you want to make sure you keep that in mind. Next email comes from Alden Saldana from Waterloo, New Hampshire, asking about retiring abroad, and says, if I retire abroad in a low-tax country, will I reduce the taxes that I owe on income earned from my bank, U.S. bank and investment accounts? Well, Alden, for U.S. citizens, the rules for paying U.S. taxes and filing income, estate, and gift tax returns are generally the same whether residing in the United States or abroad, and whether your assets are held in the United States or abroad. U.S. citizens owe U.S. tax on all income earned worldwide. There's an exclusion for income earned up to $85,700 by U.S. citizens working abroad, but it does not apply to investment income, so retiring abroad to a low tax country generally is not going to reduce your U.S. tax. However, details may vary in specific situations or be affected by U.S. tax treaties with other countries. So take a look at IRS Publication 54, that's 54, that's Tax Guide for U.S. Citizens and Resident Aliens Abroad, and it'll give you some more information there. Now, finally, last email comes from Samantha Salgado from Chester, Pennsylvania, asking about funeral expenses, and says, I know that funeral expenses are deductible, but I can't find where to deduct them on the deceased individual's final tax return. Where do I deduct them? Well, here's the thing, Samantha. Funeral expenses cannot be deducted on any individual's income tax return. Funeral expenses are deductible on an estate tax return, but this saves tax only if the estate's large enough to owe estate tax, which is more than $3 million at this point. So chances are really against that. So let me say this before we have to go. I'm encouraging everybody, please go out and get our apps. We have an app for Windows products and Android products. We have an app for Apple products. Just go to your Apple store and search Robert Cardoza Live. Download it. It's absolutely free. Or if you have an Apple product or a Windows or not an Apple product, but a Windows product or an Android product, go to googleplay.com. Do the same search, Robert Cardoza Live. Download it. It's absolutely free. If we're broadcasting live like we are now, it'll say live right on it. You can even chat with us during the show if you choose to. And if it's already gone, you can either listen to the show later or you can listen to all of our archive shows. They're all right there. So we encourage you to do that. Now, on my next show, Sean LaFave and I are going to discuss world issues and healthcare on his segment, Geared for Wellness. Now, please, we encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.